The Man in Lower 10, Mary Roberts Rinehart. Chapter 8. The Second Section. Have you ever been picked up out of your 3 meals a day life, whirled around in a tornado of events, and landed in a situation so grotesque and yet so horrible that you laugh even while you are groaning and straining at its hopelessness? McKnight says that is hysteria, and that no man worthy of the name ever admits to it. Also, as McKnight says, it sounds like a tank drama. Just as the revolving saw is about to cut the hero into stove lengths, the second villain blows up the sawmill. The hero goes up through the roof and alights on the bank of a stream at the feet of his lady-love, who is making daisy chains. Nevertheless, when I was safely home again, with Mrs. Clopton brewing strange drinks that came in paper packets from the pharmacy and that smelled to heaven, I remember staggering to the door and closing it, and then going back to bed and howling out the absurdity and the madness of the whole thing. And while I laughed, my very soul was sick, for the girl was gone by that time, and I knew by all the loyalty that answers between men for honor that I would have to put her out of my mind. And yet, all the night that followed, filled as it was with the shrieking demons of pain, I saw her as I had seen her last, in the queer hat with green ribbons. I told the doctor this guardedly the next morning, and he said it was the morphia, and that I was lucky not to have seen a row of devils with green tails. I don't know anything about the wreck of September 9th last. You who swallowed the details with your coffee and digested the horrors with your chop probably know a great deal more than I do. I remember very distinctly that the jumping and throbbing in my arm brought me back to a world that at first was nothing but sky, a heap of clouds that I thought hazily were the meringue on a blue charlotte russe. As the sense of hearing was slowly added to vision, I heard a woman near me sobbing that she had lost her hat-pin, and she couldn't keep her hat on. I think I dropped back into unconsciousness again, for the next thing I remember was of my blue patch of sky clouded with smoke, of a strange roaring and crackling, of a rain of fiery sparks on my face, and of somebody beating at me with feeble hands. I opened my eyes and closed them again. The girl in blue was bending over me. With that imperviousness to big things and keenness to small that is the first effect of shock, I tried to be facetious when a spark stung my cheek. "You will have to rouse yourself," the girl was repeating desperately. "You've been on fire twice already." A piece of striped ticking floated slowly over my head. As the wind caught it, its charring edges leaped into flame. "Looks like a kite, doesn't it?" I remarked cheerfully. And then, as my arm gave an excruciating throb, "Jove, how my arm hurts!" The girl bent over and spoke slowly, distinctly, as one might speak to a deaf person or a child. "Listen, Mr. Blakely," she said earnestly, "you must rouse yourself. There has been a terrible accident. The second section ran into us. The wreck is burning now, and if we don't move, we will catch fire. Do you hear?" Her voice and my arm were bringing me to my senses. "I hear," I said. I'll sit up in a second. Are you hurt?" "No, only bruised. Do you think you can walk?" I drew up one foot after another, gingerly. "They seem to move all right," I remarked dubiously. "Would you mind telling me where the back of my head has gone? I can't help thinking it isn't there." She made a quick examination. "It's pretty badly bumped," she said. "You must have fallen on it." I had got up on my uninjured elbow by that time, but the pain threw me back. "Don't look at the wreck," I entreated her. "It's no sight for a woman. If there is any way to tie up this arm, I might be able to do something. There may be people under those cars." "Then it is too late to help," she replied solemnly. A little shower of feathers, each carrying its fiery lamp, blew over us from some burning pillow. A part of the wreck collapsed with a crash. In a resolute endeavor to play a man's part in the tragedy going on around, I got to my knees. Then I realized what I had not noticed before. The hand and wrist of the broken left arm were jammed through the handle of the sealskin grip. I gasped and sat down suddenly. "You must not do that," the girl insisted. I noticed now that she kept her back to the wreck, her eyes averted. "The weight of the traveling bag must be agony. Let me support the valise until we get back a few yards, then you must lie down until we can get it cut off." "Will it have to be cut off?" I asked as calmly as possible. There were red-hot stabs of agony clear to my neck, but we were moving slowly away from the track. "Yes," she replied, with dumbfounding coolness. "If I had a knife, I could do it myself. You might sit here and lean against this fence." By that time, my returning faculties had realized that she was going to cut off the satchel, not the arm. The dizziness was leaving, and I was gradually becoming myself. "If you pull, it might come," I suggested, "and with that weight gone, I think I will cease to be 5 feet 11 inches of baby." She tried gently to loosen the handle, but it would not move, and at last, with great drops of cold perspiration over me, I had to give up. "I'm afraid I can't stand it," I said, "but there's a knife somewhere around these clothes, and if I can find it, perhaps you can cut the leather." As I gave her the knife, she turned it over, examining it with a peculiar expression, bewilderment rather than surprise, but she said nothing. She set to work deftly, and in a few minutes the bag dropped free. "That's better," I declared, sitting up. "Now if you can pin my sleeve to my coat, it will support the arm so we can get away from here." "The pin might give," she objected, "and the jerk would be terrible." She looked around, puzzled. Then she got up, coming back in a minute with a draggled, partly scorched sheet. This she tore into a large square, and after she had folded it, she slipped it under the broken arm and tied it securely at the back of my neck. The relief was immediate, and picking up the sealskin bag, I walked slowly beside her, away from the track. The first act was over, the curtain fallen. The scene was struck.